Evening and welcome. Uh, so I've got a little thing in there, the usual entrance. It's like, hello and welcome to Geekful Trades.
Your podcast for all things geeky. I'm Greg Barlow.
And I'm Doin Pretorius.
And today you're joining us for What You Doing Old School Style.
So old school, I forgot, Greg. I forgot.
Yeah. You clearly we need
I didn't do that.
A sip of whatever beverage you are drinking. What are you drinking tonight?
Tonight is a Thursday.
Yes,
I know it's not,
so it's
but
a Thursday on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's Thursday on a Tuesday.
Myself, I'm having a Guinness because it is nice and cold and it is warm here. So cheers.
So hot. Like, I'm sure for those who are watching the stream, etc., they can just see my hair going because they're just fans, etc. It's just a
you
thing.
just need to invest in air conditioning.
Eventually, Greg, eventually.
It's very expensive.
It's an expensive thing to say.
Totally worth, like, as office purchase, a requirement for my office.
Yeah.
100% return on investment.
I was thinking about that because, like, Nix runs her company from home, so totally try and work it out into her
tax deductible.
Exactly.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to be just having a general chat and catch up on some various things we've been doing lately, because no major news topics have really come up of late.
From our side, anyway. There are a lot of big news topics and stuff, but they're so broad, Greg. They're so broad. We're not dedicated on any of those channels.
Too much to consume in an hour of podcast. So tonight we'll give you small little bite sizes to keep you going over the next 2 weeks.
Indeed.
But before that, we ended on a cliffhanger last time.
Indeed.
With Wild News Headline, where you were facing off against the final of the Elite Three, none other than the Dungeon Master himself. And he had cast you down into the depths of a powerful dungeon. Now, of course, as we know, in order to partake in a dungeon, you have to pick a class, because you can't just go into a dungeon by as yourself, right?
Nope.
So what class are you going to pick for yourself as you enter this as you get cursed into this dungeon?
Oh, my preparation for good for that then, because I will take Scion.
Ooh, okay, yes, that's an acceptable pick. You could have picked any class from any edition of Dungeons and Dragons. So, are you going to go with Scion, or are you going to go with more traditional, like Sideblade? Wilder. Ooh, I like it. Okay. So, for those who don't know, Wilder is someone who uses psionic powers, but more like a sorcerer does. They sort of intuitively pull.
Intuitively pull, and very keyed into, like, the chaos and stuff are going around. Lots of fun to be had there.
So, you find yourself on the path of broken stones, all alone, without any party mates. All your items are gone. The Dungeon Master has taken them from you. And you find all you have with you is your level 1 Wilder abilities. On the path of broken stones, a ridge looms large ahead of you, but the path does not stop from where you stand. You can see a narrow tunnel in the distance of dark-hued rock, sort of been carved out. And there's some writing chiseled in stone on the ridge above the cave entrance. What would you like to do?
That's read stone carving.
So what languages did you pick at character creation?
Oh, depends. Like, am I a particular race, or am I still human? Because
you can pick a race. What race would you like to pick?
I always like my own. I have to go for my half elf, so like
the perfect choice.
Human and elven, and then I need to pick something else. So let's go for dwarven.
Quarter elf, right?
Well, no, you get Elvish and English for Elvish.
Oh yeah. Your extra language will be dwarven. Right. Well, that's perfect because it's written in Elvish script, and the Elvish script is your first news headline, as it is written as Star Wars Rogue Squadron director Paddy Jerkins reportedly frustrated with Lucasfilm's micromanagement.
I can kind of see some of that because Filoni, who does like pretty much everything, is very, very hands-on at the moment. I think he kind of like saw what everything kind of happened around, and then was like, guys, look what I did with the Clone Wars. Look what I did with this. Look what J.J. Abrams did to us. No.
So they're actually blaming more Kathleen Kennedy.
Okay.
Kennedy,
The
yeah,
Marvel
who's
side,
the
yeah.
current, I think, head president. Memory
Yeah.
serves.
Yeah.
But and saying that the experience is akin to a plot point by committee process.
Oh no.
Um, so as a result, the film has been put indefinitely on hold.
That's not good. But I
Yeah.
mean, like if you think about it, that happened with like Obi-Wan for a long while. Also, I think like there's been a few series that have been
A recurring
a
problem,
recurring
right?
problem with there, and it's not even like we say there that like, oh yeah, it's like Star Warsy stuff, but if you think about like all the stuff that's happened with Marvel,
Mm.
you think about the Doctor Strange movie, how it switched to like two different directors now, and
Mm.
just all the various items in there. So, but no, I think Disney does have a micromanagey way about them.
Mm.
Unless you are one of those two directors who they love so much and are like,
Yes.
we trust you to make us millions, so
Yeah.
please
You've
make
done
us
it before. You
millions.
can do it
Yeah.
again. Yeah, I'm wondering how much of as well is like them being extra careful that they don't get a repeat of like bad Star Wars things, like, well, I
Yeah.
mean, bad is the wrong word, even just Star Wars where they don't have the final say, like,
Yeah, I don't even know if with that, like, but I don't think like maybe Star Wars that isn't written with the sort of like arc in mind,
mm,
because
mm,
you can kind of see that with the modern trilogy in that first one set up a whole bunch of stuff, but it's very J.J. Abramsy, it's very mystery boxy, and the second one kind of was like, nah, we don't care about any of those mysteries. We're just gonna kind of tell our story, and a subversive story at that,
mhm,
and
mhm.
introduce a lot of little characters and stuff which the world kind of needed in a lot of ways, an exposition of things that kind of grounded a lot of stuff. And then by the third one they were like, well, screw all of that stuff and the stuff that we set up in the first one. We're just gonna go back to mystery boxes that no one knew were actually a thing until Palpatine came back. So
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, so I think that there's quite a bit to kind of be quite strict about. And Rogue Squadron, I think as well, it's a very hardcore Star Wars fan thing.
It's like quite a loved IP, part of the
Yeah,
IP,
you
like,
have to. I don't know. You're not going to draw in. I mean, it's Star Wars, so obviously it's going to draw in the
mm,
casual fan, but
yeah,
your average Star Wars person is going to want that to be done well in order to get like the numbers, and they'll bring their friends, etc., to be like,
they'll
hey,
bring
don't you
their
want to see the
squad.
dog fighting in Star Wars? You know? So,
But yeah,
yeah.
I'm hoping for lots of massive space battles because that's all I want in my life.
And to me, like, I mean, it's Rogue Squadron, but I don't know, because, like, how are you going to, like, do that with them?
Do
Because,
that
like,
as a story.
Luke and Wedge are, like, such a big thing, and those actors are not exactly, you know,
In like this portion of the movie. I don't
yeah,
think.
well, I mean,
I
like, they're
don't think
also,
they
like,
will be. They
they're
won't be
all
the focus.
older sort of, like, thing within
Maybe
it,
Wedge.
so, yeah. Like, it just doesn't fit in, because, Luke's still, like, in his 20s in Rogue Squadron,
Mm,
Wedge
mm,
is
mm.
30, so, like,
Well,
thing.
that's why I think it's not going to be the Rogue Squadron part where Luke's there. It's going to be either
Yeah, post
like
sort of
whilst
thing.
he's doing something, whilst he's off in
Being a
Dagobah
Jedi.
or
Yeah.
something, or
Uh, well, I mean, Rogue Squadron only picks up after the second Battle of Yavin. Like they're there
true as
to
well.
pick up
They only
the
get a natural.
remnant. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
So, like
Yeah.
timeline wise, it's difficult to fit it in. Like you might just have them in like hollow things. It's a good thing they hired that guy who did the deep fake.
Oh yes, yeah.
uh,
Aha, tie back.
yeah.
And maybe that's what the plot point by committee argument is over. Like, no, we can't keep using him as hologram.
Yes. Stop trying to get the guy who plays Winter Soldier. You already pay him so much.
Yeah. Um, yeah, okay. So the cave entryway is covered by some sort of barrier. How will you use this translated Elvish to break the barrier?
I speak committee. in Elvish.
Ooh, you speak committee and enter. The barrier dissolves. Committee access granted. It echoes in Elvish back at you.
Synergy.
Yeah, dynamics. So you step into the simple cavern in this sort of rock cliff way, and you can tell it hasn't been used in some time. Obviously, not very many people know the secrets of committee. Not all of the stone inside this cave is natural, however, because there's a trio of statues standing along the far wall, almost forming a portion of the wall. And each statue, excuse me, depicts a humanoid female clad in rags, each with their right hand out, palm up, looking as if to receive a gift. The figure on the left is extremely young, her beauty obviously apparent with her youth. The figure in the middle is older, her face kind and matronly, and the figure on the right is stooped with age, and her face a maze of lines and wrinkles. What would you like to do?
See if they're that one war machine commander with her 3 temporal phases. But I don't examine what they're looking for.
So as you get close and you do a perception check on the statues, 2 tiny chipmunks climb onto the shoulder of the old wizened crone, and they chitter and whisper the next news headline to you, which is that John Mulaney and Andy Samberg's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie is a comeback and not a reboot.
Okay, so... But what does that even mean?
What does it even mean? So I guess what it implies is that at some stage the Rescue Rangers disbanded for some reason. Like they finished rescuing and rangering, and now they have a reason to get the crew back together again and rescue and range.
Yeah.
So, it's been 30 years since the last Rescue Rangers episode aired.
Yeah. Chipmunks don't live that long.
But initially aired.
Well, I suppose these are talking ones, so...
Yeah. Clearly, these two chipmunks are chatty.
Yeah.
And one's wearing a little fedora, and the other one's wearing a Hawaiian t-shirt.
So there's a weird dynamic. It's very playing on the 80s sort of stuff within there, I suppose.
Right, it was kind of the whole Columbo sort of
feel.
Exactly. But so the one is kind of Dale is more like Indiana Jones, and Chip is more like Columbo, I guess.
Columbo, but not
really
because they're not really like that. Yeah. But yeah, what is a comeback, not a reboot? So, I don't know if you saw out of the Marvel news of all the series that they're bringing out in the next year, and how they're making X-Men 97.
Yep.
Maybe something in the similar lines of that. So we left it.
But is that a reboot or a comeback? I feel like that's a reboot.
Comeback. No, it's a comeback because it's still using the storyline from there. It's why it's 97.
So it's continuing on the storyline. Then that's comeback.
So in my mind, you would have something like there where it'd be the Rescue Rangers, and only thing there is when do you set it?
Who can remember how the last episode of Rescue Rangers ends? Because I can't.
Wikipedia, easy.
Yeah, right. Or maybe just start the episode with last time on Rescue Rangers.
Exactly. And then kind of similarly, what would you say of the Animaniacs? The new.
Have you watched that reboot restart?
I have. It's pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay, I must actually watch.
It's clearly still written by an older generation, kind of
they've kind of leveled up with it,
sort of thing,
aged up with it.
Kind of, but also not. It's weird because they're trying to make jokes and stuff that'll appeal to millennial and Gen Z, there, to kind of still keep a bit of there to keep the youth of it, but they call themselves out on it as well. So I don't know. I quite like how self-referential and kind of stuff goes with it, because it's
always you can appreciate self-referential humor.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all some of the same voice actors. Think in the Brain and Arnett. There's
That's
all
cool.
sorts. So
Yeah, I must definitely watch. It's been on my list. I just haven't ever gotten
yeah,
around to it. Like,
yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I don't know. I think I wouldn't suggest it to people who have not grown up with it
watch
though.
the original. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think there's too much self-referential stuff in
It's
order
very
for it to actually
intense, a
be.
show.
It's like Freakazoid, and it'll just be like, well, yeah, we predicted it, guys. The internet did just become this. The modern Freakazoid would be horrible because he'd be
Oh
like a
my god,
4chan
modern
nomination.
Freakazoid would be insane.
Ooh. Hello
Um,
there.
oh yes, hello there, viewer. We both have to hello there on sync. So 1, 2, 3.
Hello
Hello there.
there.
Um, and yeah, so what are you going to do? These two chipmunks are kind of they're like furiously pointing at the wizened crone's hand.
Oh, I will take the wizened crow's hand with my hand.
Nothing happens.
Oh no. I don't have anything to provide though. Like I search my inventory.
You find your starting gold of 10 gold coins and 1 healing potion.
I put a gold coin into the
Hmm.
crone's hand.
The crone's hand closes with a creak, and the statues all step aside. The tiny chipmunks join your party and will assist you
Hooray! Party
furthermore.
ad.
Put one on each, perches on each shoulder, and starts softly humming a theme tune about crime slipping through the cracks.
Ah.
As you slip through the tunnel crack deeper into the cave,
Mhm.
until eventually the cave opens out into a massive glade of gnarled and olden trees. In the sort of center of the glade, there's the remains of an old campground, strewn with various abandoned tents and old stools and stuff. But most importantly, at the center of the field, there's a towering, dark, sort of stone obelisk, sort of protruding 10 feet out of the ground in the center of the glade. And on top of it, there's a rusted iron orb that's been very artistically sort of crafted into it.
Yeah,
What
well,
would you like to do?
that warrants investigation and a good decent search check. I now have 2 investigating chipmunks to help me.
That's
So
true. They're giving you a circumstance bonus to investigating because they are natural sleuths, or gumshoes even. And it's in the song. That song actually taught me the meaning of gumshoe
oh, nice.
when I was younger.
Yeah, I always love that of the like sort of like thing of all the our sort of like geeky show. Well, I don't know, Janelle's not necessarily a geeky show, so think about that. But that and various other pursuits and stuff, where you use a word or a term, and people are like, "What?" And you're like,
How do you know that obscure word or term?
"It's bold."
I watched Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you start sort of investigating the obelisk in the night sky, for as you've been walking through the cave, nighttime has fallen. You see some bright, sparkling lights as something in the far distance up in the sky is happening, and the sparks sort of spell out your next headline, which is that Russia blows up a satellite, creating dangerous space debris cloud in space.
Is this part of their movie?
Sadly, no. They literally just decided, for no reason other than maybe some posturing or something, to blow up one of their old satellites that was like decommissioned but slowly decaying in orbit.
Yeah.
And as a result, they have put everyone on the International Space Station in peril.
Now Tom Cruise cannot go to film his own movie before we release ours for theatrical release.
Cosmonauts do not care about space crap. They will survive.
Yes.
There are 2 cosmonauts on the space station at the moment, and they're not pleased.
No, they wouldn't be able to see. Like, that's not cool.
So yeah,
interesting to see that they've done that because I mean, yeah, space is a thing.
Yep.
I mean, if it's decommissioned stuff, I assume it's fairly low orbital.
Yeah, it was probably. I think it was slowly decaying, but obviously, I don't know if they just miscalculated what they were doing or what. But they've created a debris cloud of over 1,500 trackable pieces, and the most dangerous one is piece 1,408, which is apparently constantly overlapping with the space station every 4 hours as an orbit. So it just has to align once.
Oh, geez, man.
So all of the people on the space station they've got a phrase for it, but I can't remember what it was. It was like sheltering in place or something, where they literally put on their spacesuits inside the space station, go to like
the decompression and all that.
The most secure part of the station. But yeah, you can obviously there's a lot of international outcry.
There would be
recklessness, but they have not responded as of yet.
Why would they?
Because Russia doesn't care.
Yeah. It's a bit of a weird one with that. I suppose we will not know what their reasons are, etc. It could have just been an accident. They could have been some sort of ancient thing in there that they didn't calculate, or some sort of conversion from metric to something else that like didn't go through, because all the old space age incidents are always about that, right?
Yeah, but this is all American. I think Russians have always used metric.
Yeah, they have. And I mean, like, you never know. There might have been like some sort of weird sort of this component that we took from, some state of ours that defected and changed over briefly to this, or
we used online American calculator.
Yeah.
How bad?
That is scary. I mean, like, I don't know what you can really do about that. You kind of have to wait for that to decay.
Yeah. You can't send another rocket to blow it up.
No.
That's for sure. Yeah. But there is the name of that what's it called? Kessler syndrome. I don't know if you know that. It's when the saturation in our orbit gets so bad.
It becomes like
one accidental, like, of course, satellite creates a domino effect that creates essentially a sphere of roiling scrap that locks us into our planet for all eternity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always interesting of like watching sci-fis or etc. where they're set like far enough in the future where it is just a jump field around Earth, so all satellites and decommissioned stuff, and it's I suppose more and more likely within there. I don't know. Do you see Bezos's like presser this week where he was like, eventually in future generations, Earth won't be populated by that many. It'll be a special reserve, and everyone will live in space. And only select few will get to go down there. Like,
I don't quite think that's how it's going to work, unless like the population of mankind drops dramatically.
Well, I mean, it's way for Bezos to put whatever like to be like, well, I'm not beholden to international laws about not dropping titanium needles from space.
Everyone join me on Bezos land.
Yeah.
Population 20. Well, he's been watching too much. Did you ever watch that anime Blue Gender?
Yes, yeah.
With the space station of the last remaining humans.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, like, I always feel the Gundam take on it is always like quite probable with what it is, whether it's the plants, the colonies, the
whatever they're called
whatever they're called within the thing, and that sort of divide when they decide to be like their own nation.
They inevitably secede from the Earth. I don't think it'll ever come to that, because they'll never need to secede from Earth. They'll need to secede from probably their parent nation. So I could see like America making a colony, and then them seceding from America.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the world will be like,
we'll trade with you.
Okay, Space America, you're cool.
That's what happened like the New World. So
but yeah, as you're gazing at this message in the stars, you are distracted, and the metal eye opens on the pillar, and the tents animate and begin to fight you in a combat. So how are you dealing with these animated tent ropes and pegs and stools that are charging at you?
I will wild burst a. So they're just called like elemental rays in the old 3.5 like thing, to twin cast it to fire it at like multiple of them, while my chipmunks can deal with the third. I assume is a
Chip and
third.
Dale double team the other,
Yeah.
whilst you bring it down with psychic force. How are you dealing with the eye on top of the pillar, which is slowly animating things in the camp?
Yeah,
for you to
that's actually a fair point. Well, I mean, that is a ranged attack, so I suppose eventually one's going to have to go that way, and we'll fire a an acid ray at it. Because that's something you can do.
So the eye gets chopped off and falls to the ground and closes. But you suspect it may still be alive. What would you like to do? Will you finish it off or bring it with you?
Let's wrap it up in a tent and take it with me.
It may come in use later. You bring the cursed eye of the abandoned camp with you. And that is where we will leave our adventure for today.
Yes.
Tune in next episode for more adventures in the
Okay,
dungeon.
you're gonna make me find a new stinger.
I mean, you're still fighting the Elite Four member. He's just
true.
cursed you into a
But
dungeon.
it's just like they have like special edition intros for filler arcs, right?
It's true. It's true. Well, this is still the main arc. It's still a boss fight. It's just a
Yeah.
really long
Long
boss.
one. It's like Goku versus Frieza.
Exactly. At least you don't have to power up.
Yeah.
And in fact, you gain a level. So you're level 2 now from your solving puzzles and dealing with combat encounters.
Nice.
And the stars.
Gosh, I get to pick my specialization now.
Well, what are you picking? Or are you going to decide on it and choose next week?
Decide and choose next week.
Excellent. That'll be the first question I'll ask
next time on.
Next time, find out what specialization Douw picks. Making a note here, otherwise I'm going to forget. Okay, yeah. So that ends Wild News headline. Or I don't even know if that needs a new name. If it's like
we'll work
news
something.
News headlines and dragons.
We'll ask the audience.
Dungeons and headlines.
Ooh. I mean,
what's like alliterative with headlines? Horrors and headlines. H&H.
Am I?
Maybe. I don't know. What do you think, audience? Horrors and headlines? Close enough? Anyways, let us know.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the main section. Where we're going to take a much more chilled what you doing.
Yeah.
So
used to be one of our things. We used to have
main segment.
The old version.
Version
1.
Back in the day, if you've been with us for the before times,
yes,
we used to do this far more often.
The before times.
Far more often, far less regularly.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So, Greg, what have you been doing?
So I have been playing a game called Game Deck. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have. It's on my wish list. I'm waiting for a 50% sale.
So it is well worth the purchase, even without the sale, I would say.
Okay.
It's one of the few games that I got and I played through and finished.
Nice.
Like nowadays, that's quite rare. My attention span is a lot less.
Yeah,
small.
I know the feeling.
Especially with long-winded RPGs.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. So it's a sort of you're this private investigator mixed with a MMO game admin, sort of merged into one. And so two things caught me with this game. The first one being dialogue choices really, really matter.
Okay.
And you can't do so. So traditionally, with this kind of like isometric role-playing game, you walk up to the head of the Majors Guild and you open the choice dialogue and you've got like 5 options and you push 1, then you push 2, then you push 3, then you push 4, then you push 5, and then you say goodbye and your quest log is updated, you know? In this game, certain dialogue options will lock you out of other dialogue options.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you're not careful, if you just randomly dialogue, you will insult them and they won't talk to you anymore, or you will open up an entirely new dialogue tree, or
Okay.
the person's in a rush and you can only ask them 3 things, but you don't know it at the time, right?
Yeah. They're like, oh no, sorry, I
But
have to log off now.
yeah,
Or
like kind of like, yeah, oh, my boss is here, I've got to go, kind of.
yeah.
And then because you didn't prioritize your questions properly,
You
you
didn't
didn't
get
get the
what you needed.
information.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of
Um,
cool.
and then, so I really enjoyed that, like, because that was like so different to me compared to the normal slog of, I'm just going to gather all of the knowledge and it'll be
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
Because it then uses a deduction system, which is very similar to what is that that pixel art
Lacuna.
Lacuna, that's it.
Yeah.
Where you sort of you gain evidence and clues,
Mm.
and then based off those evidence and clues, you can make deductions, and those deductions will let you progress the storyline depending on the
In different ways.
deduction you
Yeah.
made.
Um,
But it's so much so that it can literally take you to different virtual world. Like if you make a different deduction, you can end up in a different virtual world,
yeah.
and the storyline changes completely because you're like off investigating the wrong world, like.
Yes. Yeah.
uh, and it'll probably circle back anyways, but you'll have to use a completely different narrative path to
Mm.
solve the problem, as opposed to the easier way.
Yeah.
um,
It's kind of cool though.
yeah, and then it even starts nesting the deductions. So
Ooh.
you have to make like 4 different deductions, and the 4 different deductions will then make you make a final deduction. And like you can get some really crazy combinations of things. Like so what I've decided to do, because I sort of played it through as a competent investigator, and like you pick your job
Yeah.
almost based
Yeah.
off. It's really weird how you level up. You level up based off dialogue options.
Okay.
So if you pick like the compassionate approach, you gain like heart aspect. And then
Yeah.
certain jobs need more heart aspect to unlock that job, kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, or if you pick like the impetuous path, like the impetuous dialogue option, you get impetuous aspect, kind of thing. And then, so I picked the path of like system admin, kind of like official recognized
Yeah.
game admin. But you could also go like cheater, like a criminal cheater, and you can go like digital celebrity who everyone knows and like helps you out because you're so famous.
Yeah.
Or you can go like medical specialist who specializes in like psychology and stuff,
Okay.
which is also very helpful. Like that was the second branch I took, and it helped a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was going like, I'm super detective.
Yes.
So system admin, medical
I
specialist,
was
like I
made
can
for
solve
this
all the
job.
crime. And so I think I got to the end of the game, and I think I got it mostly right ish. Because it does take a lot of twists and turns. The storyline, it's
Okay.
it's
Oh, that's good.
interestingly
You
written.
want that.
And they also do that cool thing of like you do lots of individual cases that seem unrelated, but then they bring them back here and there.
Okay. Yeah.
And like one little thing you noticed on the one case is actually relevant on another case, and someone you met on one case you meet on another case, and they've like done cool things. And,
Okay.
I enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm now my second playthrough. I'm gonna do like idiot cop, like idiot cop cheater, right? Who just cheats his way through and like brute forces everything and accepts all the bribe money in the land.
Yeah, superstar cop.
Yeah. I'm just going Elysianing the shit.
Oh.
So yeah, that's Game Deck. Well worth the play if you want a good RPG.
I shall give it a look. Well, I mean, it was on my radar, so I shall have to give it a try. It's maybe a December game for me.
Yeah. It needs a little bit of time because you've got to carefully think about things like dialogue options. It's actually for the first time in forever, it stressed me out, dialogue options. Like it's like, oh God, if I select this, they may hate me forever, and then I'll never get the clues I need. Like
nice. You want that because you kind of want. Yeah, you want I don't know. In those kinds of RPGs, you want that feedback of it of like, cool, I've now done this thing, and it's now an impact.
Your choices
instead
matter.
of just like,
100%.
Well, I'm just going to try that option 2 again, and then go option 3 on the next one instead of option 1 to get a different response. It's nice to see more. I think that's why like that one actually caught my eye was because like they mentioned of the things. I think it was also I think it was first brought up to me as a suggested on the Disco Elysium Reddit.
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
like,
it
hey,
does
check
share
this
a lot
out.
of vibes. It's not quite
No,
the level of perfection that Disco Elysium was,
yeah. I mean, and Disco
but
is
it is a
very,
good sci-fi substitute.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
I know, like game
and
wise,
yourself?
like, I'll go with the game wise sort of thing there. Like, I
Hmm.
picked up a Game Pass, so just
Oh
been like
yeah,
trying a whole bunch of other things. I was playing New World for a while, and then I think we discussed it sort of thing, but their
Mhm.
economy just broke.
Keeps collapsing
And
several
all
times
sorts of
over.
things like that. Yeah, like duplication bugs and invulnerable bugs and all kinds of things. So I mean, like I was enjoying it, but I kind of like cool.
A
All
little
these
bit
other new
frustrating.
games. I'm like, it's not even frustrated because I mean, like I didn't necessarily get hit by the economy so much because I wasn't playing the stock, so yet only like
Yeah.
level 30, high 30s at the moment. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I'll still play when it gets to me, but
Mm.
whatever. In the meantime, I picked up Forza Horizon.
Hmm.
It's so good if you're into racing games.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very, very well done. I've been
Mm.
enjoying that a lot.
Is it just straight
Always,
racing,
it's
or is
straight
there
racing.
like
Well, it's
background
racing, but
stuff
like
you do as well?
uh, the background is you're at a car racing festival in Mexico and you're
Okay.
setting it up. So
Mm.
you'll everything you do gives you points. Races
Okay.
give you points. Getting new cars gives you points. Doing different things will give you points, and they're always giving you stuff. I've never felt like, oh damn, I have
Gotta
to
grind to
grind
unlock this
something.
car.
Like there's still some grind in the middle of being like, cool, I want to get this car and I want to upgrade it and I want to get all the bonuses and I want to get all kinds of things in it.
Mm.
And there's collectibles and all sorts of nonsense like that.
Mm.
But you know, within like about an hour or two of playing, you like they every time you level, you
Mhm.
get like a spin on like a jackpot wheel sort of thing,
Oh, right.
and
Okay.
they're very generous with that because it was like, hey, cool, like fourth or fifth spin, here's a Lamborghini. I'm like,
Nice.
okay, cool,
If only real
supercar.
world worked like that.
Yeah, I know. So and like they keep that up quite a bit, just like giving a lot of stuff and just everything you do in the game does something to make more stuff for you in the game at a very quick rate. It doesn't feel like an MMO grind or anything like that. You're just constantly getting stuff, and they also give you the options. So they'll like be like, "Cool, you've unlocked enough points to unlock the next stage of the festival." And then you
Mm.
go to that point, you pick which one you want to go to first, and they'll be like, okay, this is the road races, this is the off road races, this is the
Mm.
dirt races, this is the street races, this is the whatever, and you'll
Mm.
you'll go to those ones to upgrade them or unlock them, and then you'll do more of those, and then you get more points. And you're like, I could make a new one, or I can upgrade one of the ones that I've got already.
Mm.
And you just go about doing that. And there's a lot of like user generated content as well. People making their own races and challenges and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. It's been a lot of
So
fun.
does it scratch the itch of your like nostalgic memories of racing games?
Oh,
Your nostalgic memories of racing games, like
kind of.
we used to go back and play Need for Speed Underground, or like I don't know what
Yeah,
your original
it's
racing
not
game
the
was.
same as like so. It's not the same as like a Need for Speed or etc. Because Need for Speed have I forget what the term
Storyline,
like I've read in
isn't it?
movies and
I think
stuff.
that
Kind
is.
of like I mean a lot of the storylines of Need for Speed have always just been like you are a road racer, go and
You must race
race,
for money.
become best racer in the town, and then they started when Fast and Furious catched on, then they started trying to be a bit more
Now you must
more
race for family.
yeah exactly or across the thing or yeah that's just all kinds of nonsense. But it's not the same with theirs. Like in those, it's always like, cool, you start with a little jalopy or a base entry street car and you race through
Mhm.
it and you get better and you
Improve
upgrade
yourself.
it and then
Yeah.
eventually you get the Porsches and the BMWs and stuff, and then after a while you get the Ferraris and the whatever like the supercars, and then
Mhm.
you're eventually creating the champion. This one is much more just like
You're a
open. It's
professional
like
racer.
cool. Yeah, it's literally like you are a professional racer who's been flown in for this like festival to be a professional racer. So you're like, okay, well, I'm here. And they start you with three very good cars already. And they're like
Mhm.
one for each of the different types, the main types of thing.
Mhm.
And they're just like, go wild, like whatever you lean into. And like it's nice to just jump in a session be like, cool, what am I going to do now? I'll unlock that thing because I didn't do that in the last session. And while I'm going there, it'll be like, well, I haven't explored or gotten this collectible, or oh, that's a cool car that I've unlocked. And they've got like this other thing where they've got like barn finds. So it'll be like as if, your mechanics heard a rumor about a car that's been left in a barn somewhere.
No, right? Yeah, like an
That you
ancient.
can restore, yeah. And like
Yeah.
that's in the main storyline, but players can leave cars in barns as well. And then like you'll just get a pop-up that says like someone's left a car here, you better go get it. And then you're like, well, I was going to that race, but that's just around the corner, so I'm just gonna make a detour and go and do that. And then while you're doing that detour, you're like, oh, there's a cool jump over there. I better go and do that jump. Oh, cool! There's a cool drift section. I better change to my drift car and drift through there. And then eventually you're like, why was I here again?
Drive on?
Yeah, it's open world. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And quite a decently sized open world as well, and a lot of verticality to it in comparison to the previous few. So, yeah, very much an enjoyable thing for like gamers. Like if you're a racing car or racing game like person, I would highly suggest giving it a go.
Because I mean, that was part of my like funnest part of like the GTA games. It's just exploring, just driving around the level, exploring. Oh, this is obviously the rich neighborhood, like all these fancy houses. And
well, it's nice because I mean, like they've split it up into different biomes as well. Because like they've condensed Mexico into like this little like things, so you drive from coast to coast in the one thing. But they've got like a volcanic mountain, and they've got like a very like built up like traditional city, and they've got like a jungle, and they've got a desert, and they've got a this and a that. So there's a lot of cool different things to kind of explore and see with that. And part and parcel of that sort of unlocking, because each type of race has a particular region that it's also like you unlock it in. So it'll be like the street races are here, so you'll drive across the whole country to get to the other side to be like, oh well, now I get street races, cool. So yeah. And a very well imagined world. Like they've gone to the level of detail of like you drive past a little shop, and it's a racing game. It's not like GTA or anything like that where you can get out your car and explore. But if you drive past the like shop or whatever, they've done the interior of the shop up in full 3D. You're like,
they've taken the time and the trouble.
So lots of cool things in there, and then another one just as a quick fire gaming thing. Halo Infinite's multiplayer came out for free for everyone yesterday, so I've been giving that a go, and that's quite a lot of fun.
And how good, bad?
Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Same old school Halo style, or more like what is the Halo?
More like Halo 2, Halo 3 kind of era.
There was like a team-based Halo game. What is it called?
ODST.
Doesn't ring a bell. I remember Team Halo. Everyone had like different things they could do. Maybe it's a different game.
Yeah, I think ODST into that, and maybe Breach, but I don't know.
Oh, anyways,
Reach, rather.
So as long as it's the same old school Halo vibe, or
yeah, so they've got like 4v4, and then they've also got like open battle, what they call big battles, and yeah, it's been interesting because like I mean we've all been playing Splitgate, which has a very that has a very Halo 2 feel to me.
Halo 2 with portals.
Yeah, while Infinite feels like it's more modern sort of thing, like bullets aren't hit scan and all those kinds of things. You kind of see them going through the air. But a lot of fun. And they've added a lot of like little things like grappling hooks and shields and all sorts of nonsense and stuff
cool
like
mechanics. That. So, spice things up.
Oh.
Yeah, we've come a long way from old school jump pads in Quake, right? That was the most interesting thing, like mechanic wise. Just jump pads and rocket jumps.
I mean, there are jump pads in
yeah. So. Now you can grappling hook, another thing.
It's fun. You just jump over someone's head and you grapple them onto them and pull yourself in to punch them. It's like a one-shot kill. It's great.
Perfect. What more could you want from a first shooter?
Exactly. And free as well, which is nice. So,
a lot of games are heading that way, which is quite interesting.
I mean, the single-player campaign won't be. That you will have to pay for.
That's fair.
Game Pass, yay!
Yeah, well, speaking of Infinite, I've been playing Infinity online.
Nice.
In a global narrative league.
Okay, is that has it been like is it a Corvus Belli sort of thing, or is it just like people putting a narrative together
No,
for
so
them?
there's a guy in New Zealand called Volesi, and he's been running a. He does it every year, like around this time.
The same one that you were in last year.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I do play in a lot of leagues.
I know, but like the
Um,
narrative sort of one there.
but yeah,
I
narrative league
vaguely remember.
wise, it was probably because last year I was on Team Hackaslan,
Yes,
and
yeah.
this year I'm Team Aleph, and they didn't have enough team leaders, so I'm actually leading Team Aleph.
Ooh. You get first pick
Um,
of all of the super like Achilles and etc.
well,
Right?
so they've got this weird system where you get like they call it a camcord, but it's like a free model you get in your army lists, right?
Yeah.
So like the equivalent in 40k would be you get a character for free, and they
Okay.
think of them as like a really like a guard commander stats wise.
Wow.
But then as a team, you get like an equipment pool, and then you can allocate equipment to like each guy gets 3 items right
Yeah.
from the pool, and the pool is limited. So like 40k equivalency would be like artificer armor
Yeah.
and a bike.
Also,
And
like the like what's that crusade like sort of like stuff that you
exactly,
really
yeah,
have.
same sort of vibe.
Mhm.
But you can change it every round, and
Okay.
they also like level up slightly after every round. So like mine, for some reason, just keeps leveling up its close combat stat. That's the only thing that I've leveled up, even like because it's a D20 roll at the end of every game.
Yeah.
So now I'm like a close combat master, but everything else is really bad. So I die horribly before I even get anywhere close to close combat. So it's
That's okay.
hilarious.
It's
Yeah,
clearly like you like name it like the Trojan horse or something.
yeah. Well, I'm actually the sub faction I'm playing is Operations subsection, so it's more like Ghost in the Shell than Achilles and the
okay, so
Trojan.
you're using like the Tachi Maros?
Yeah, Tachikomas and stuff,
Tachikomos,
and they've got these things called post humans, which are like because normally you like one model generates one order.
Yeah.
And it costs roughly like 10 points a model, gives you an order. Like post humans are all dirt cheap for what you give, but between like the 3 of them, they generate one order, and it's just the same person jumping between different bodies.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty cool because you can like he runs up to the roof and shoots a rocket, and then he jumps to the other body on the other side of the map, and then like moves up and hacks someone, and then he jumps into the other body, and it makes it really hard to kill them because even if you kill the one body, there's still got 2 other bodies to jump around.
Yeah, it's very Matrix agenty.
Yeah, right. Because you'd expect that from Aleph.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Aleph. Come on.
So I'm having fun. Our team's not doing so well, like competitively wise, but we're all having fun, and I think that's
a big part of it, really.
Game,
and narrative stuff, you've got the space to do that. It's not really a matter of like, oh yeah, we won. It's kind of like, are we having fun and are we doing things that our faction would approve? Yes, cool.
Yeah. And it even what it results in as well is we get paired up against like more casual teams as well.
Nice. Yeah.
So we end up having way more fun casual games than like these really intense like we're the top 2 teams. You're better. Everyone in the team better win your game, or you're like gonna bring the team down. Like guys, go out, play, win some, lose some. Either way, have fun.
Yeah. Well, you need leagues like that and games like that occasionally, like to break up the must win kind of mentality.
Like because I mean, like in comparison, I'm playing in the global. There's another league running parallel called the IGL Infinity Global League, and they are way more. They're more competitive. It's not a narrative event. You're individually paid based off your rating, kind of thing. And I'm playing Caledonia, so it's like Scotland.
Yes,
crazy Scottish people.
We don't care about no combined army.
Exactly. Best be heading home, or I'll chop you in 2.
Yeah.
So I'm having fun with that, with crazy, like mad. I've got a list called "There Can Be Only One," and everyone in the list is Highlanders. Yeah, like it's great. So I'm really enjoying that, and that's going quite well as well.
Nice. Like I haven't like really necessarily. I mean, we're getting ready for like ITF and kind of just doing like what list and etc.
Have you
Mostly Greg's
settled yet?
models. That'd be great.
Have you settled on, or you were going to go custards, right?
Yeah, custards. Like,
Okay.
oh,
Yeah,
they'll
because
be
I painted those dreads, so you better play them now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think like I also like kind of thing and something that I don't know if you've been watching it at all is Arcane, the
Oh, I
Netflix League
watched
of
the
Legends
first
thing.
episode so far.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I've gotten up to episode 6 now, so I'm like waiting for the
Hmm.
last 3
Okay.
on this weekend. But
Hmm.
all this has done for me is just made me like more and more be like, when's the League of Legends MMO coming out? When's the League of Legends MMO coming out?
So you didn't
Because
feel tempted to go and play the game again or the card game?
like no, well, I mean, I need to find my like logins and etc. The card
Oh
game,
yes,
I
I
I
had that
can't.
problem as well for a
Yeah,
stage.
so I mean, like the card game, I play too much Hearthstone for me to
It scratches that itch
divest
for you,
time
right?
between the
You
two.
need to.
Yeah, even though I quite liked the Legend of Runeterra,
It was a fun
it's
game. I enjoyed it too.
yeah,
Like,
like it felt very L5R in a weird way, not modern L5R, but like the
yeah.
CCG one, because it's also like I attack, you defend, you attack, I
Mm.
defend, kind of thing,
Mhm.
and you take an action, I take an action, and
Mm.
positional stuff is important.
Mm.
So it felt quite like that in a lot of ways. But yeah, and I mean like League, yeah, I don't know. I've like fallen out of MOBA sort of stuff. It's just like
Yeah.
having to relearn, and I mean the mastery system is completely different these days. Builds are
Hmm.
easier but different as well. So there's just a lot, and you know, I would have expectations of myself that I don't think I could meet anymore.
Right. And it's not like it's a bit too competitive sometimes. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like especially like in lobbies and stuff. When you know when I was doing with friends, it was fine because you know,
yeah, it's much more chill, right? Because it's
yeah,
just like I can't believe you went bottom, you fool,
yeah, yeah,
like as opposed to what is this idiot doing? Like, why is this random stranger going bottom when I clearly pinged top? Like, a
yeah,
lot
exactly.
more forgiving of a friend making a mistake than a random stranger.
Yeah, that's what you're doing to that at like competitive tournaments.
Yes, yeah,
But
that's a level of intensity I never even
uh,
ventured towards.
yeah, oh
I
no,
knew it would not
yeah,
be my jam.
yeah, it was fun for a certain degree with that. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of champs and stuff, and we're just like, it's also interesting to me because a lot of the champs that are in
Okay.
Arcane are the ones I played. So
All right,
it's like
yeah.
I'm
So
like
it gives you.
I used to buy main and I used to like, you know, using Jace as well as top as well. So it's just like, ah, so there's been a lot of that. But honestly, as I say, like one of the biggest things for me is just that they've built the world a lot better, and
Mm,
you'll see that by the time you get to like episode
yeah.
3 and then into 4, because
I
obvious
mean, even
time jump.
one is
Yeah,
pretty
I
good,
mean,
like
one
for
they
setting
they
the
do there,
stage.
but I mean, like, there's a big like there's obvious time jump because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just need to
Obviously,
grow up to the thing there, sort of thing.
yeah.
But that time jump does like a lot for like the world building around it, where they're
Mm,
just like, well, there's this big thing in this thing that you can then see the impact here,
mhm,
and now you can see how this thing. But it's also interesting just as a fan of the lore, etc., to
mhm.
see them talk about like, yes, they import Noxian wine, or
Yeah, yeah. Like,
you
oh, I
know,
didn't know that the nations were close enough to do that. Like kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially with you know all conquering Noxian.
Right.
But
Yeah. It kind of
um,
dilutes the all conquering aspect, but in a good way because it makes it
oh,
more
I mean, it was interesting
realistic.
because I mean, like they already did that when they sort of lore rebooted not too long ago,
Yeah, yeah. I remember
and
some of those cutscenes where it's got like the Nox. There was like all the Nox champions liberating a country
yes, yeah,
cutscene
it was just
kind
sort
of
of
thing. That was cool. Those little minuet cutscenes were actually really cool. I can't remember what they had a name it's like Tales of Runeterra or
yeah,
something like
something like that. Oh, it was
that.
like
Yeah.
because I mean, like that was in the lead up to them releasing the card game. So like we
Mm,
need to explain the lore of the different things and the kinds of stuff behind it. But I mean, there's been a lot of interesting rebooting and the kind of things and kind of clarifications on all this stuff. So, you know, making Zorn and Piltover more established as across like
mm.
the thing, but still one nation almost sort of
Yeah,
thing.
right. Yeah.
You know, making Noxious be, you know, still this like very like
Noxious.
prideful and like kind of conquering sort of thing, and like and have recently come out of war with Ionia, but have had to pull back. Like they've given some darkness to Demacia as well, kind of
Mm,
being like,
mm. Yeah.
all lawful isn't necessarily all good, you know.
Yeah, absolute law is still absolute law,
Yeah,
which is good because it gives it fleshes out the
yeah,
world, right?
exactly. And you know,
Um,
and as I say, like the more I've been watching of Arcane, it's just been this thing of like, oh man, I really want to like play in that world, but as an
Feel like
MMO
a role playing
character
game.
and role playing way, kind of like
Were they
you
going to
know.
release a role playing game at one stage, or did they?
They
Was
were
that much
planning to.
imaginary?
Like, I mean, like, there's big. It's in the works at the moment, but the MMO. That's who knows when. Like,
Yeah,
they've not released anything about it, but they've got that Riot money on it. So,
that's right. Man. And
and
they've also got the old school. I want to call it the old school Blizzard approach of it'll be released when it's ready, as opposed to
yeah,
just it's get it out
yeah.
now.
To me,
Like
it's been interesting. There's I don't know if you watched Josh Strife's video. Like, he talked about it a little bit, where he's like, he foresees it being the biggest sort of possible WoW killer
oh,
because
the
it's
MMO
got
wise, yeah,
a strong lore, and it's got
mm.
a potential of a lot of people kind of pulling themselves in, becoming you know, ingratiated
Dedicated
to, because like, you know,
Runeterra
like for us it's
fans,
kind of like, cool, we played Warcraft before,
right?
and we got like really into it. Like for me, you know, I really loved the Blood Elf campaign in
Mm.
Frozen Throne, so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, of course, when the Blood Elves came out in World of Warcraft, I was going to make plans like
Jump
play
on
that.
board. Mm.
So, you know,
Same
in a
thing
similar
now.
way, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when there's a League of Legends thing, I'm like, oh, I really want to be like a Piltover, like explorer or whatever sort of thing,
Mm.
or you know, this or that, and just kind of see what's there. So interesting, I think, and
Yeah,
I'm very
definitely.
much looking forward to the remaining 3 episodes, and then also I'm hoping that they do further series of
Mm.
Arcane, but like in other areas.
Yeah,
So like
other
do
like it doesn't
have
have
a
to be
Demacian,
those
have a
characters.
Nocturne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what would be a very interesting one is when like they do Ionia for the whole
Mhm.
like the Noxian invasion,
Mm.
and like just doing all of their, because you can know that they'll like follow Riven and her like losing faith with the Noxious army, and they'll
Mm.
follow Yasuo and his brother dying, all those kinds
Mm-hmm.
of like interesting things. I really are having to like take up the mantle of her people, and there's a lot of cool
Cool
and I
law.
think interesting stories to be put out there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, as a setting, it's a great setting. They've taken time to slowly weave it together, which I think
yeah.
is
And
working.
I mean, they also haven't been like, I think, you know, we think of it because we were around in the days of like Nunu Bot and all these sort
Yeah.
of like just
Mm.
very like, oh, it's a girl with the demonic teddy bear, and we don't need to know more than that, or
Yeah. Yeah.
and etc. But they've really built it up and paid attention. I think they've also done a nice thing of putting representation in their character pool as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm hoping, like with a lot of the stuff that's been like sort of like uncovered behind the scenes and such, that they're a better Riot, as it were.
Yes. Well,
Because
this is what
you
we're
want to be
hoping
able to
for all
sort of,
gaming companies at the moment. Like it's like gaming
it's
companies, please just be good.
unfortunately just been there and it's kind of become like, you know, culturalized, and people are now finally being like, no, no. That's,
Pick it
yeah,
up.
it's going to take a bit, but yeah, let's all hope.
Let's all hope. Some wood.
Indeed.
But yeah, okay. I think we're running out of time.
Oh, unfortunately.
Is there anything last minute rapid fire you want to bring up?
I think I brought my stuck my
Yeah,
rep fire in already. So
yeah. I mean, like rapid fire wise, I've also been prepping a little bit for ITF, so maybe we'll just bring up ITF is the end of November.
yep. So
So if you're listening to this,
be
register
after our
now,
next episode.
or you will miss it. Um, it's got 40k, it's got Infinity, it's got Malifaux, it's got Kill Team, it's got X-Wing, I think, or is it Legion? I think it's got Legion
There's Legion. Yeah.
instead of X-Wing because there wasn't enough. I think people were a bit burnt out from Nationals X-Wing
There's
wise.
probably everything there.
But yeah, there's plenty of game systems. If your game system you love isn't there, send them a mail, and maybe next year it will be.
Always good about expanding and keeping up with those sort of things. So
They just need to know there's a demand for it. That's the main
yeah,
thing.
I think that's
So,
a general thing.
right. Someone needs to champion it and run it, and then it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, see you guys at Into the Fray if you are going. Come say
Indeed.
hi to either of us if you happen to be there when we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll sign your pen.
Let's buy booze, Greg. Maybe
Or
we'll buy
buy
them
food.
booze.
Yes.
Maybe they'll
Buy
pay for
booze
it.
and we'll sign your pen.
Yeah. No. But yeah, I think all have a great time of Sunday. And
Indeed.
until next time.
Cheerio, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.